Oh my goodness, have y'all seen Bryce Young at the Carolina Panthers OTAs? That boy been hitting the weight room this offseason. Look at this. Bryce Young is buff now, bro. In 2023, that you see on the left, this dude was built like a damn preschooler. But now, on the right, he looks like a grown man. And it's funny because when I used to play high school football, I had this coach that used to say, the weight room is what turns boys into men. And Bryce Young has gone from looking like a damn toddler to a big boy now. And my new nickname for Bryce Young this season is going to be Buff Bryce. Bryce Young got beat up a lot last year. That offensive line was terrible. Nobody was getting open. So he took a lot of punishment. But I always respected how Bryce Young, despite how many big hits he took, how many times he got sacked, this dude always got back up and he was ready for the next play. Now with him packing on more weight, he's going to be able to sustain more punishment, which is going to help him from a durability standpoint. You see, when it comes to guys like Lamar Jackson, as long as you're 200 plus, you should be fine. But Bryce Young, we didn't even know if this dude was even 190 pounds last season. Like, he looked like 180 pounds of soaking wet. Now this dude looks like an actual NFL player. And when you're playing in today's NFL with how athletic these defensive linemen are, with how small Bryce Young is, you can't be built like, wet sandpaper. If you're Lamar and you got a little bit of height on you and you got a little bit of length, as long as you just have a tad bit of meat on your bones, you're fine. But if you're under the positional norm and you're like 5'9", 5'10", you got to be built like Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray. If you have looked at Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray's physique, like they got really thick thighs, no diddy, no homo, but you kind of got to be a little bit built. Like even when I was playing football, I had a coach that told me like, hey, bro, if you can't get to 120, you're going to get cut. So you know what I had to do? I had to go home. I had to do push-ups. I had to eat a lot of peanut butter. And over the years, like going into my senior year, I was like 188 pounds. Like if you go back and you look at some older videos of me, you will see that my chest was a little bit more, had a little bit more poke to it. I was a little bit more like, you know how it is when you playing football, like you're walking around and you got your chest poked out, not intensely, but just because you big as hell. I remember I had a science class senior year and this girl that I used to sit next to, she was like, damn, JT, like, your chest is really broad. It's like when you're playing football with how violent and physical this sport is, if you're undersized and you're under 6 foot, that's when I believe that having weight matters the most. But if you're 6 foot and over, as long as you can get the 200, 205, 210, you're good. So for Bryce Young, him packing on this weight, is going to be a really big positive for him going into this year. And maybe with him getting stronger, that also increases his arm strength. What was another big knock that many people had on Bryce Young last year was his inability to really throw the football effectively downfield, mostly due to his lack of arm strength. Now, I don't think that Bryce Young has a noodle arm. I think that he has a barely average arm, but he has enough arm strength that he can make the necessary throws downfield. But now with him having a little bit more juice, he should be able to have a little bit more oomph behind his passes. So Bryce Young, that boy been in the weight room. Buff Bryce, I can't wait to see him tear it up this season, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, Bryce Young is going to win Comeback Player of the Year this season. He was set up in a bad situation last year. He had an awful coaching staff, an awful team around him. If there's anybody that can get Bryce Young playing up to his potential, it's Dave Canales. This dude helped resurrect Baker Mayfield's career and Geno Smith's career, and I don't see why he can't do the same for Buff Bryce.